Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is read through this lesson plan. Now, at the beginning, it tells you in red, information for you beforehand. All of this right here is just for you. It is nothing that you need to tell the kids. It's nothing that they need to hear from you. It's simply going through this leader prep in your gray book, and I went through it and put it in a summary right here, the things that I thought would help you be able to lead the lesson. If you don't have time to read this before you come to confirmation, totally not a big deal. It's just there for you. If you have time to read it, great. If you don't, it's okay. It's not required. The reason I did it is because I just felt like looking at this was really overwhelming, and I didn't want you to feel like you had to read through all of this information. So I tried to make it more concise in here. So it lists background, which is in the leader book, background information, what students need to know in the leader book, it lists those, where they might struggle, it lists those. This is just here so that if you don't want to look in the book and you just want to read my quick notes, you're good to go. Okay, so then it says right here, small group learning time begins here. This is when you have the kids and this is what you're going to do together. So you're going to turn the page in the leader book. Now you're on page 100 right here. And we always skip the icebreaker due to time. And you're going to start with into the story, which is in the middle of page 100. You're going to look here and I say, okay, do the Romans activity, skip bullet 1, read the quote in the Bible. So it says, ask a volunteer to read Romans 6, 1 through 11 for the group. Read Romans 6, 3 through 4 one more time, then discuss. Then there's 3 bullet points. I told you you could skip the first one, so you can talk about those 2. And then in your Bible, it said on here, read the Martin Luther quote. So it says it's on page 1231, which is right here. The Martin Luther quote is this little orange box right here. It's a good quote to connect baptism with Martin Luther, so I want you to make sure and read that. Then, after you do that, it says do the Matthew 28 activity, which is right here. Matthew 28, there's 2 discussion bullets. Go ahead and do those. Okay, so you've done into the story. The next thing on page 100 is questions. I almost always say if time. You may or may not have time to get to those. I tell you if all of them are good. I tell you if you just want to do one. Maybe none of them are. Again, I'm trying to do this to help you move through the material quicker. Okay, so then the lesson starts. So in your book, you see this page, which matches the student page. It's very, very tiny, so you can't really see it or read it, because I've tried. But they show you, I don't know what that was. They show you what the kids' book looks like so that you can go through it. Now, right here, when I start with the lesson, then I'm going to use the kids' pages so that you can tell the kids, okay, we're going to go to page 46. Now, in this book, Holy Baptism starts on page 45. I didn't like what they did on this page, so we're just skipping it, and you're going straight to page 46. So this is where you're at now on your lesson plan. And then you turn the page, and in your leader book, you're on page 102. So the kids are on page 46. This is what they're looking at. You've got your lesson plan, and you're on page 102 in your leader book. The first thing that it says is please make sure you have time to do the activity listed under want more. That activity is the very first bullet at the bottom on page 102. You're going to each have a little cup of water. Now, normally we would bless each other to represent baptism, but that's not safe. So everyone will have their own little cup. They'll dip their finger and they'll bless themselves like that. That's at the end of the night. So you're going to go to the second page of your lesson plan, and it's kind of just going to lead you through the kids' book. So explain that the infographic is a lazy river. See the lazy river. Read star on page 102. So as they're looking at that, you're going to read this star box on page 102 in your leader guide. Start at Sacrament Land banner right here and go to number 1, which corresponds with number 1 in the orange box. So this graphic goes with this explanation. Then you're going to go to get your ticket, and I'm just reading along on the lesson plan. Go to get your ticket. You don't have to read this. Then you're going to go to what about those guys with the question below. What does your church use? Then you're going to go to number 4, read the orange box. Number 5, read the orange box. And then you are going to do number 2 last and read the orange box. So that kind of leads you through. I did not talk about this part. That means you just skip it. We didn't talk about this statement. That means you skip it. If I don't mention it, then don't worry about it. So that's it for this page. Then on your lesson plan at the end, it says want more, which is what it says on page 102 in your guide. And we talked about, it says you will have a font of some kind. You'll each have your own little cups. Read bullet 1 and do the activity. Bullet 4, if time. If you need more time filler, feel free to do bullet 4. Your final small group discussion. This is something that I want you to really try to do when you come back from teaching. There's always going to be a question here that kind of sums up the night and what you learned. I think it's a good way to close your discussion. So try to always leave time for that if you can. Now, if you run into questions about baptism, or if you have time, I typed these up for each group. Baptism questions with answers from Pastor Scott. Kids have a lot of questions about baptism that we just don't always teach in our church. And so these are some really good questions and answers from Pastor Scott, because he can't answer them all in person. And actually, I learned a lot from these too. So it's just really good information. You will get a very similar sheet next week for communion. Same idea, questions and answers from Pastor Scott. And that is it. Now, sometimes you will have some activities on the final page in your leader guide. These are just sometimes some activities that I do like. Oftentimes I don't have you do them. There's always a question at the end that is similar to our discussion question. But if I don't mention this page in your in your lesson plan, then you don't need to worry about it. Let's see. In the Bible, in case you haven't looked at the Bible, sometimes I will say, read the large orange box with your verses. That would be something like this. Sometimes I'll say, read the Martin Luther quote, which is this. There's another one over here. What else? There's often small orange boxes. I might say, read that. I usually try to give you the page numbers. Here is, let me show you, another large. This is another large orange box. I might have you go through and read that with the kids. It's just good extra information. So I think that's it. I feel like I just, again, spewed a whole bunch of information at you. Run through it, hit pause, look through your books, figure out where I'm at. If you're still confused about anything, please call me. If you want to come early on Wednesday night, let me know. I can show you whatever isn't making sense. I know this is not ideal, and I am so grateful to you guys for jumping into this head first with no prep. Just let me know if you need help. I'm here all the time, and we will make it work. And just so you know, just tell the kids straight up, you are learning with them. That's what we are about here at First Lutheran. We are learning everything together, and we're accompanying each other on our faith journeys. And no one knows enough. No one knows too little. We're all just on a continuum, and we're just keeping going. So we learn things from the kids learn things from us. God throws some stuff in there that we aren't even aware of. Pastor Scott throws things in. It's just a big, huge learning time, and you can't do it wrong. So hang in there. Let me know if you need anything. I'll see you Wednesday night. Take care.